Hello everyone, welcome to the Ichimoku.co daily futures market review for the trading day ending Thursday, September 17th. Firstly to gold futures, and here we see very solid buying continuing in this market for today's trading. Previous day's trading we saw a very solid build of momentum, a very large white body candle, one of the largest that we've seen for quite some time, and that white body candle breached up through the Tenkan-sen indicator with the buyers taking control of the market. Today, formation of a very similar type of candle, buyers in control once again, but buyers losing some commitment around the Kijun-sen indicator and the 1133.9 level of previous support and resistance. There is an opportunity here for the buyers if they're strong enough, but they will need to breach through that Kijun-sen trading around that 1134 level. Any breach up through there in a strong bullish manner may then contend with resistance at the top of the Ichimoku cloud around 1139. But at the moment we have a neutral market in big picture terms, a market that's just bullish in the short-term time frame by trading above the Tenkan-sen, and still just negative in the medium-term time frame by trading down below the Kijun-sen, the pink line. Interestingly, the Chica span is now above the corresponding price action, so it's suggesting that we have some positive momentum in this market in the medium-term time frame, and suggesting that if the buyers are strong enough, we could see this market transition into a bullish phase in the longer-term time frame. But that would depend on the market breaking out through the top of the cloud and then seeing some strong follow-through. So still a little way off before we have confirmation of a strong market in that longer-term time frame. Next to Nymex Oil, and here we saw the previous breakout up above the descending triangle and confirmation of that triangle, but the lack of follow through here was always going to be very difficult for the buyers with the close by resistance at the Ichimoku cloud. And here we've seen indecision enter the market with a black spinning top type candle, and it suggests that the buyers have lost all of the momentum that they built upon the breakout up above this upper barrier. There is a very good possibility of the sellers coming back into this market now and changing the trend to the downside. We should be watching the bottom of the cloud, roughly at about 46.13, to hold a strong support, and then down at the Tenkan-sen indicator at 45.53 may also hold as support. One of the things that could happen is that the market may trend down again and we get to readjust the boundaries of this pattern. Not an ideal thing to do, and then we could also see the market break out back to the downside and complete the pattern to the downside. But certainly the problem here with the pattern, the way that it had formed previously, was that the resistance close by was always going to mean that the pattern had a great probability of failing. Just looking at some support areas and resistance, and if the market is able to appreciate up through the Ichimoku cloud, which it's unlikely to do off the back of this spinning top type candle, if it does, however, we have a zone of resistance extending from about $48 up to about the $50 level, so very strong resistance overhead. Interestingly, this current candle has found support at the previous 46.72 level, so that's an area we should be watching as a bit of a benchmark to the downside before we reach the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud. Next to wheat futures, and very strong selling in this market, and three moderately large black body candles suggest that the sellers are very strong here, breaching down through the 488 level of previous support and resistance in a bearish manner, and that suggests that we certainly could see this market trade to the downside, but we will need to breach down through the Tenkan-sen indicator roughly about the 484 level. If we see a strong bearish follow through early and we can breach the lows around these candles about 476, we could easily see wheat futures trading down to about 460, 650 support. Any rally will have to breach through the Kijun-sen indicator close by around 489, and then the $500 round number could come into play if we can rally up there, and we could see some more rejection from there. To corn futures, and very similar type of trading activity as we saw with wheat, another large black body candle, sellers strongly in control, stronger control than the previous day's trading. We saw this trading activity today upon the breach of the 385 level of support, held as support yesterday, previous resistance area, and the sellers have proven how strong they are by taking that out that area. The sellers have just closed beyond the 381 level, so suggesting we could see further downside, and looking to this region just above 376, and at the 376 level with the Kijun-sen trading there and the Tenkan-sen just above around 378, so potentially strong support around there. Any strong bearish breakout down below there would see a negative market in all three timeframes in terms of Ichimoku by being below the cloud, the Kijun-sen, the Tenkan-sen, and we could then see the market develop further to the downside, down to the 367 support, or even down through to the 359 support. To the US 30-year bond futures, and here we've seen a change of trend today. The buyers coming into this market strongly, and a couple of days ago we saw the strong bearish breakout to the downside. We were looking for follow-through and strong follow-through. We didn't see that, although we did see the sellers take control. We saw the 150-129 area hold up as support, as it's done for today's trading, but the inability to close down through there on a very small body candle suggested that the sellers were weakening, and that has set the market up for the buyers to come in today and change the trend. Now the market has traded just to the top of the Ichimoku cloud, so we're finding some resistance around there, and that's going to be an important level, and the question will be, will the buyers have enough upside momentum to breach up through there and change this trend that we have in the longer term time frame, which is now to the downside. We also have resistance around there with the Tenkan-sen indicator trading there, so roughly about 153.25. So we could see some more selling come into this market in line with this very bearish candle that we saw a couple of days ago. And to the hourly charts with the S&P 500 hourly futures, and here we saw the market opening up above each of the Ichimoku indicators. We didn't see any strong follow through, a lot of weak indecisive small body candles for the majority of the trading day, finding support at the middle pivot point level and then rallying late in the session up through the first pivot point resistance level to the second and finding strong resistance there. The inability to close above there brought the sellers into the market, and we saw then a very large black body candle late in the session, selling down through the middle pivot point level to find support at the top of the cloud, and the cloud has been holding a support for the last 4 consecutive hours, so that's a very, very important area of trading. If the market does sell down through the cloud, we have very strong support down at the bottom of the cloud, combined with the first pivot point support level being down there at 1962. Now any rally here may find resistance at the middle pivot point level, 1987, and just above there the Tenkan-sen at 1991 may come into play as resistance, but a breach through there sees strong resistance at the first pivot point resistance level at 2002, around that round number 2000 resistance.